But look at all of this plant matter. It's hard to believe that all of this fit in there and there was still room for water. That is absolutely bonkers. Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Rachel O'Leary, and as mentioned, I am breaking down the Nanos. Now, this is an ancient aquarium I've been running for quite some time, and I'm sort of excited to see exactly how many plants are in here. I did catch the fish earlier today to send them on to their new home, and now we can start disassembling. So I'm going to start by trying to remove the little bit of duckweed that's shown up in this aquarium, because I don't want to transfer that to any other aquarium. If you guys been around for a bit, you know that I have largely eradicated duckweed from my fish room because it's just a pest, but it was still in this aquarium. It can be really challenging to get rid of things for good when they're as densely planted as this little guy is, as little pieces of duckweed can get trapped inside the moss, and if there's one little piece, then it multiplies. So I'm going to start by pulling out hardscape. I think it's going to be interesting to see just how much plant matter is in here. As I'm doing this, I'm picking out these little individual pieces of duckweed. You can see how the moss has actually, let me use my beauty guru hands here, actually infiltrated the driftwood. Now, this is probably just Java moss, but I honestly don't remember. Got a bunch of different bucephalandras. See, this one has a flower. Definitely be reusing most of this plant matter, if not all of it. This is Physidens. It's kind of interesting to see how the Bucephalandra and the Anubias have become intertwined here. These are just gorgeous. That plant. Look at this Anubias bonsai, how it's grown. It's a neat Anubias because it grows sort of vertically in these like climbing fashion. I particularly like it. As I'm doing this as well, I'll just pull off any leaves that are yellowed or particularly holy, like this one. Trying to sort these by type. This is Nubius Petite. You can see how tiny it is. This is Nano, sort of mid-sized. Well, still small, suitable for all tank sizes. Look at this size of this thing. That's half the size of the aquarium. I had no idea. You wouldn't even have known, oh my goodness, how much hardscape was in this aquarium. Look at this Bulbitis and Anubias rooted to this rock. I didn't even remember that I had a rock in here. Apparently I have several rocks in here. Take out the filter. I'm going to drain the water down so that I can get to the plants that are actually carpeting this aquarium. But look at all of this plant matter. It's hard to believe that all of this fit in there and there was still room for water. So now I'm going to try and remove the carpet. This carpet is a mix of Sagittaria, which is this one, and also Crypt Parva. The Sagittaria I'm sending on to a forever home. The Parva I'm going to try and preserve. So this is going to take a bit of finesse, I think. The substrate in this aquarium was a mix of 88 aqua soil, Brightwell, and a third one that I can't even remember what it was. This was, again, years and years and years and years ago. And if you've ever worked with Crypt Parva, you know that more Anubias. You know that it takes forever to grow in. So I was so proud of this carpet when it first started, when it first came in, and I'm not quite sure how this Sagittaria got in there. It only takes one little piece and that stuff will go bonkers. This is the amount of sag that I took out of there. It's pretty impressive. And then you can see when we look in the aquarium, you can see how much Parva's in there. I'll pull that out next and lay it out for you guys. But who would have thought that all of this plant matter could actually fit in such a small aquarium? Now all of this Sagittaria, as I mentioned, is going on to a new home. So what I do is wrap it in some newspaper. And then I'll dunk it in an aquarium to hydrate it. And then wrap it with another piece of paper. And we can put it in a fish bag, and I'll put it in some insulation, and then I'll ship this out tomorrow. But I don't ship plants in water, I just ship them in damp newsprint that keeps them from drying out. And that is a couple pounds of sag that I'm sending out to her. Now we can pull out the parva carpet. Now, one of the things that came up in the comments was how often do you have to replace a substrate? And I don't know that there is a cookie cutter answer to that, simply because it depends on what you've used, what your goals are, what you've planted. Oh my gosh, this is insane. This thing is so densely rooted. Look at this. This is all crypt parva. I mean, quite literally, look at this. This is almost all the substrate is full of parva roots the whole way down. So I'm not even gonna bother trying to separate that stuff out. Such a little plant. This is probably the smallest crypt, or one of the smaller crypts. And look at this root structure. And again, this is probably, I don't know, 8 years or so of parva growth. Now, despite this substrate being many years old and multiple different types, you can see that it's still relatively intact. Now, I'm sure it lost a lot of its nutritional properties years ago, but for the low-tech stuff I was growing, it held up fine. So, to address the question I had in the comments, you know, I don't think you really need to replace substrates as long as you evaluate your goals adequately. Clearly, a fresh substrate, fresh enriched substrate, is going to have way more to offer than one like this one that is so very old, but it certainly worked fine for good root development. If I were trying to grow higher tech stuff in this, I would definitely probably have to use something like root tabs as well as dry ferts to supplement. But it stood the test of time for a really long time in this now empty little Nano. I think this was about maybe 8-gallon tank, 10-gallon, something like that. But yeah, now we can finish clearing off the counter here, and I'll move on to new projects. As always, thank you for your continued support.